There's this quiet paradox, isn't there? Right at the heart of how we connect with people we love. We chase this feeling of unity, this really deep merging, soul deep. But what we found, digging into this, is that the harder we chase that fusion, well, the more we seem to disappear ourselves, subtly. We're looking for light, but somehow we risk losing our own.
Yes. It's a kind of subtle tragedy in modern relationships, actually. It feels like devotion, this giving over of the self. But often it's really coming from a place of depletion. So our mission today in this deep dive is to maybe shine a light on that self-erasure and explore, well, a more mindful path towards real connection. We're looking at this gentle art of not merging.
Not merging. That phrase immediately brings up that image you shared, the one with the two candles. You bring two flames close and there's this beautiful shared glow. Seems wonderful.
It does. There's warmth, there's light.
But if they get too close, that's when the wisdom warns us, right? One flame starts to lean in too much, it flickers, it burns faster. It thinks it's being devoted, but it's actually erasing itself.
That leaning, yes, that's the key. It's trying so hard to become one with the other light, it forgets its own wick, its own fuel. And so it burns out, not, in some glorious blaze, but just sort of quietly exhausting itself.
Giving from that place of emptiness, well, that's where love starts to feel like a demand, not a gift.
Okay, let's talk about that feeling of disappearance. Because I think many of us recognize it. Maybe it's muting your own opinions, or canceling plans you were looking forward to, shrinking your dreams a little, all because you want to be the good partner, keep the peace. But under that, there's sometimes this quiet panic, isn't there? A little voice asking, who am I really if they don't need me right now?
That panic, that's the shadow side. It's what happens when we confuse just being near someone with actually being present, when fusion gets mistaken for genuine connection. From an older perspective, a more philosophical one, this isn't seen as true love at all. It's more like fear dressed in silk. Fear dressed in silk. Wow.
Right.
That's quite an image that sounds beautiful but feels dangerous. So if this clinging, this merging is so disguised, how does that ancient wisdom help us tell the difference between just, natural desire and this harmful grasping?
Well, this is where a concept like abandonment comes in. It translates roughly as clinging or grasping. The suffering, the difficulty, it doesn't rise from desire itself. We all have desires. It's natural. It comes from the grip, that desperate, tight hold we put on the person or the feeling or the relationship, turning them from a gift into something we need for our own survival.
Can you give a modern example of upadana? What does that grip look like day to day?
Sure. Think about maybe that jolt of anxiety when a text isn't returned immediately, or that subtle, maybe unconscious need to kind of manage your partner's social life because their independent happiness feels vaguely threatening.
Ooh, yeah.
That tightness, that needing things to be a certain way for us, that turns love into a kind of prison for you and for them too.
Okay, so if that grasping, that upadana, is the distortion, what's the alternative? What's the pure form of love in that view?
The contrast would be metta, loving kindness. True metta is a wish for the other person's happiness and freedom.
Yeah.
Genuinely, without conditions. It's not, I need you to be happy so that I feel okay. It's much simpler and much harder. It's, may you be free, may you thrive, may you be safe, even if that path towards freedom takes you somewhere I'm not.
Wow, okay. That sounds incredibly challenging because it demands such a strong sense of self, doesn't it? You have to be standing really firmly in your own light to wish that for someone else.
It does. Wholeness is really the requirement. You need your own fuel, your own inner fire. So you're not constantly trying to just reflect their light or worse, absorb it. When your giving comes from that inner emptiness, love just becomes this anxious demand. But when it comes from fullness, then it's a true gift. No strings attached.
How do we even spot that moment, though? When we stop being whole and start dissolving? We get so confused, I think. We think that fusion, being almost indistinguishable, is the peak intimacy.
That's a common confusion. But fusion tends to consume. True presence, on the other hand, nourishes. Think about the lotus flower. It's a classic analogy for this. It grows right there in the muddy water, its roots are deep in it, but the blossom itself remains unstained, clean, beautiful.
Right.
It's deeply involved with its environment, but it refuses to become the mud. We need to, in a way, refuse to become the mud of the relationship, maintain our own essence.
Refuse to become the mud. I like that. It feels active, like a choice. And this connects to that psychological idea you mentioned from the sources, right? Differentiation. Can you unpack that a bit? Because it sounds like the modern term for standing in your own light.
Absolutely. Differentiation is, I think, a really critical skill for healthy intimacy today. It's the capacity to hold on to your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own values, while staying emotionally connected to your partner, even and maybe especially when you disagree or they feel differently. Real intimacy needs two whole people, people choosing to walk together, not two halves looking for the other to complete them.
Okay, but let's make that practical. Like in a conflict, say you're really passionate about your work, but your partner wants you to take a different job, maybe one that's more predictable for family reasons. What's the difference between a fused response and a differentiated one in that moment?
Ah, yes, good example. A fused response is often driven by fear, fear of conflict, fear of disappointing them, fear of separation. It might sound like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right, your happiness is more important, I'll look for something else. There's a collapse there, a giving up of self.
Driven by anxiety, you said earlier.
Exactly. Now, a differentiated response is different. It holds both realities. It might sound more like, okay, I really hear why this predictability is important to you, and I understand the anxiety about our future. That matters to me too.
Yeah.
And this current path is deeply fulfilling for me and connects to who I am. So how can we figure out a way that honors both of our needs without me having to sacrifice this core part of myself?
So you're acknowledging their reality, staying connected, but not collapsing your own position.
Precisely. You hold your ground, gently, lovingly, without making them wrong. You stay connected without giving yourself away. That's differentiation.
That feels like the shift from just performing the role of partner to actually being present as yourself. So if we want to stop performing, how do we actually practice staying whole? It feels like it needs small, everyday actions, not grand gestures.
It does. And that leads us naturally to boundaries. Boundaries get such a bad rap, don't they? We often think of them as walls, as rejection, pushback.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're putting up a keep out sign.
But maybe you think of them differently, like a garden fence. The fence doesn't reject the world. It just protects the specific soil inside, so that what's meant to grow there has the space and safety to do it. Boundaries protect the ground where your true self can flourish. In that sense, they're actually an act of love for yourself and for the relationship because you bring a healthier self to it.
A garden fence. I like that reframe. But still, bringing up a boundary can feel really confrontational. How do we introduce that fence without making our partner feel like they're being shut out?
Well, part of it starts with our own understanding of self. Remember the idea of anatta. Not self. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It means the self isn't some fixed, permanent statue. It's more like a flowing river, always changing, always responding.
Okay.
When we can hold that view lightly, that I'm not this rigid thing, and my needs and feelings are valid right now, even if they change, then we can speak from a place of gentle integrity, not defensiveness. We stop needing to perform that perfect, unchanging version of ourselves we think our partner wants or needs.
So, accepting our own fluidity helps us state our needs more calmly. That makes sense. But what about the practical strength? Like, in the moment, can we walk through those micro practices you mentioned, the small things we can actually do?
Yes, absolutely. These are the daily ways we build that inner stability, that fence. They're small, but they accumulate. First, the breath ritual. This is for when you feel yourself getting pulled into your partner's emotional state. You know, maybe they come home stressed or angry, and you instantly feel yourself mirroring it, getting caught up.
Right, like catching their emotional cold.
Exactly. So just pause. Maybe place a hand on your own heart or your belly. Breathe in and silently say to yourself, I am here. Then breathe out and silently acknowledge you are there. It's so simple. But that little pause, that internal separation, it reestablishes your own space. You can acknowledge their feelings without having to absorb them, without them flooding you.
I can feel how that would work. Just a tiny moment of separation.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Second, reclaiming your no. This is fundamental. Learning to say no, kindly but firmly, to things that genuinely drain you or go against your core needs. That isn't rejection, it's integrity. Think about, say, always agreeing to spend holidays with difficult relatives just to keep the peace. Over time, that builds resentment, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. You end up blaming your partner even if it was your yes.
Precisely. But when your yes comes from a place of real choice, from genuine willingness, not obligation or fear, imagine how much more valuable that yes becomes. You're teaching your partner implicitly that your love and presence are chosen gifts, not anxious requirements.
Choosing your yes,
Right.
that feels powerful. Okay, and the third one, about inner space.
Third, protecting inner space. In our hyper-connected world, this is crucial. You need to consciously schedule and fiercely protect time alone. Whether that's for silence, for journaling, meditation, a walk in nature, whatever truly nourishes you. Treat it like an important appointment, because it is. It's nourishment for your soul. It's not about escaping your partner, it's about returning to your center. Because when you do return, you come back as a fuller human being, more present, more available, not some hollow echo just looking for validation.
Returning to your center, that connects to that Zen story, doesn't it? The two monks and the woman at the river. The younger one carried the anger and judgment for miles, while the elder...
Yes, the older monk says, I put the woman down back at the river. Why are you still carrying her? It's such a perfect illustration of non-clinging in action. We carry things, resentments, roles we played, expectations, long after the moment has passed. Non-clinging isn't about not caring. It's about caring deeply, acting appropriately in the moment, and then releasing the need to define ourselves by it, or to carry the emotional weight forward indefinitely.
Okay, so when we start practicing these things, the breath, the no, the inner space, the non-clinging, the whole relationship dynamic starts to shift, right? It moves away from feeling like this demanding lifeline.
And more towards a companionship.
Yeah.
A co-creation. It becomes interdependence rather than codependence. Connection with autonomy. Think of those two trees again. Their roots might mingle deep underground, sharing nutrients, providing stability for each other. But their trunks, they stand tall, separate, independent, reaching for their own light.
They offer shelter without stealing light from each other.
Exactly. They rely on each other, yes, but they don't fuse into one single, tangled, unstable mass.
And this kind of unexpected truth seems to emerge from all this, that caring for yourself, really tending to your own inner flame, your own stability, that's actually the highest form of caring for the relationship, too.
It really is. It's the ultimate way of modeling healthy love. When you honor your own needs, speak your truth gently, protect your inner peace, you're showing your partner through your own being what love looks like when it isn't rooted in fear or sacrifice. You teach them, maybe without even saying it, that love doesn't demand the sacrifice of the soul, only perhaps the generous sharing of it.
So mature love becomes presence without possession. Is that it? It's knowing you have that secure base inside yourself, and from there you can connect deeply, give generously, love fiercely, but without that underlying terror of being swallowed whole or disappearing if the other person changes or leaves. The love feels lighter somehow. Not less passionate, but less desperate.
Yeah.
More free.
That's beautifully put. Lighter, less desperate, more free. And that quiet revolution, that shift, it happens right there in the space between two people who consciously choose not to merge. That choice, that space, allows love to be purified. Purified from fear, from neediness, from scorekeeping. You stop asking, do they love me enough? Do they meet my needs? And you start embodying the feeling, I am already whole. And from this wholeness, I choose to love.
So as you, listening, move through your own connections, maybe just take a moment, reflect gently on your own inner flame. How brightly is it burning?
And perhaps ask yourself, with real kindness, these questions. What part of myself, maybe small or large, have I quieted down or muted just to keep things smooth, to keep the peace?
Where might I have confused sacrificing myself for my needs with the act of loving?
And is there a dream, a passion, maybe something I once loved that I quietly let go of because I felt it didn't quite fit into the picture of us?
Because maybe the most profound gift you can actually offer someone you love isn't your everything, isn't your disappearance into them, but your wholeness. When you stand fully in your own truth, your own light, you silently give them permission to do the same. And that creates this amazing shared sky, where both lights can shine without diminishing the other.
Remember, the relationship isn't some detour from your path of growth or awakening. It is the path. Every interaction, every challenge is an opportunity to wake up a little more to your own core.
So we'll leave you with this thought to maybe sit with. What if your wholeness isn't the obstacle to love? What if it's actually the very foundation upon which true, lasting love is built?